What's happening? It's John from Long Island punk band Wrecked. It's Tuesday night. I got some new albums in. I figured I'd put up a video, talk about them. Pardon me if my voice is a little ragged. Just got back from band practice, so it's a little sore. As far as the band goes, we're going to be working on some new stuff and with the intent of recording it. So rather than waste time and wait for these venues to open back up and have live music, I think we'll just get the stuff we have down on tape and get it on a Bandcamp and get it for people to listen to if they want to. So that's the idea, that's the plan, and we're gonna go ahead with that. So that being said, here's the first record. Extreme Noise Terror, self-titled from 2015. Here's the vinyl, little brown multicolored splatter or something you want to call it. I've heard about these guys for years. They've been around for a while. They've been around since like '85. I think there's only one original member, but either way, this was their comeback record, and it's very highly rated, so I figured I'd get it. I first heard from them when Mark Barney Greenway from Napalm Death left Napalm Death in the '90s and joined these guys as a singer. I'm not 100% sure if he recorded with them, but that's when I heard of them. And I always wanted to get into them, but it's always tough to get into a new band, especially my age, you know. You got to put time in. I like to put time in and read lyrics and really listen to the albums. And but I put some on YouTube really quick just to see if it's something I like, and it definitely is. So I'm sure I'll love it. Again, grindcore, crustcore, whatever you want to call it. I bought this from a website, Red Yeti Records, because they had the next album I want to talk about. They had that one. In order to get free shipping, I just got this. This was like $6 or $7. So I added this in, and to get the next one, I'm going to show you. Okay. Zakk Sabbath Vertigo. This is Zakk Wylde's Black Sabbath cover band. I'm not a huge fan of cover bands, admittedly, but Zakk Wylde is one of my favorite artists of all time. When he joined up into Ozzy's band in the late '80s, he made them relevant again, made Ozzy relevant again in my eyes. So I've been a fan of Zakk Wylde since then. This is Zakk Sabbath. I saw them live a couple of years ago. I forget where. Somewhere in Manhattan, and they were fucking brilliant. I mean, they were great. He totally apes that Black Sabbath sound. The vocals, he's the best Ozzy imitator you're ever gonna hear. And it's just like something you never hear, and he does his own take on it, kind of. I mean, it's his style. His guitar style is very unique, but he's very, very faithful to the originals. He'll these solos like note for note. The Iommi solos, and that's what I always respected about Zakk Wylde. He always played faithful to the originals. I mean, because when he got with Ozzy, he had to play the Randy Rhoads stuff. He had to play the Jakey Lee stuff. He did it note for note, and with no problem. I mean, he's a brilliant guitar player, and a great soloist in his own right. His own stuff was great. I'm not 100% sure I love his songwriting. I don't like the Black Label Society stuff. But I did like, he had a country rock band, Pride and Glory, which I loved back in '94, I think that was. But getting back to Zakk Sabbath, again, this is the entire self-titled Black Sabbath album, their first album from 1969. I mean, and it's a great idea to cover an entire album. And the rumor is he's going to do it with the first 6 albums. I don't know if he's going to do that. I'd love to see it, though, because those are like that gospel to me. So, I strongly recommend anybody check out Zakk Sabbath, because he's no joke, really. He really isn't. And if you like Black Sabbath, you'll love this stuff. All right. Next up, Creepshow soundtrack. Not 100% sure when this came out, but this was on Waxwork Records, and when it came out, it sold out immediately. So I waited for a while, and I found this on eBay, a used copy. And check this out. It's got the gatefold, sort of like the comic book, it's Leslie Nielsen, before he became the Naked Gun, right? So, very cool. Waxwork Records does a lot of stuff with soundtracks, and they always put a nice package together. It's not cheap, though, and that's why it's few and far between that I do. I only get the albums of the movie that I really love, the green vinyl. As far as Creepshow goes, this came out in '82. It was the first rated R movie I'd ever seen. You know, my uncle took my sister and I to Lowe's Theater in Levittown to see it, and again, first rated R movie I'd ever seen, and terrified of this movie. I remember having nightmares about, but I loved it too, you know. And I was, like I said, I've said this in previous videos, a huge horror movie fan, and I still watch Creepshow. I still put it on. It's great. I mean, the writing, you can't go wrong with George Romero and Stephen King, right? But it's great. Creepshow 2 was good. Creepshow 3 was just the name only. It didn't have any of the writers that Creepshow had. But again, just as a guilty pleasure, it's you know, it's mood music. I put it on just to, you know, for atmosphere. Always liked this kind of stuff. But who knows how many times I'm really gonna listen to this? But again, price was right. I figured I'd grab it. All right. Next, let's see if we can see this. Black Road, Witch of the Future. I have the previous pressing of this album. It came out in January of 2020 when I was in the hospital and I missed the pre-order. So when I realized I did, I was like, shit. So I went on that Bandcamp, sold out. So like, Christ. So I messaged him. I said, hey, you know, I told him the deal. And somebody got back to me and said, no, you know, we don't have any more of the vinyl, but this guy might, and gave me a you know, an email. I emailed this dude, and he said he had one, and he gave it to me for the same price as they were selling on Bandcamp anyways. And this is the repress with a different cover. This is the alternate cover. That's Susie Uzi, the singer. So I always liked, you know, this is doom, psychedelic doom, whatever you want to call it. It sounds like Black Sabbath with a girl singer, kind of. Not as heavy as Black Sabbath, but very atmospheric, very evil sounding, you know. But what's cool about bands like this is that there's still a grassroots, do-it-yourself ethic. You know, you order from them, and then, you know, I get this, which is fucking cool. You know, a note from Susie Uzi, the singer, thanking, you know, which is, I don't know, the little things that matter, you know. If you like doom, if you like psychedelic 70s riff rock, you'd like Black Road. They're from Chicago. And this is I think they only have one full length, which is Witch of the Future. They have an EP or a single, which I don't have. But I really do hope these guys come around, because it's one of those bands that I could really, really see at St. Vitus or something like that. You know, maybe Webster Hall. I mean, they're a great sounding band, and keep doing the doom thing, you know, which is great. I'd love to be in a doom band, to be honest with you. That'd be right up my alley if I had time. But you know, they really keep it original, keep it faithful, you know. Little red vinyl action. So yeah, I was very happy about, you know, the Witch of the Future album. I mean, it was probably the best doom metal release of 2020. And when I saw them re-releasing it with the alternative cover, I jumped on it, and I'm glad I got it. So here that is. All right, last, certainly not least, Bully Sugar Egg. It's a strange story about this one. I'm sitting there on my Instagram feed, and it comes up as a suggested post or whatever it is, and it's just the black square Bully Sugar Egg, and you know, you hover over it and music starts coming, and it was, I thought it was like a grunge band. I thought it was like a 90s band, like original, you know, from the 90s. But I'm like, wait, this is a new band. I had to check them out. And yeah, they're on Sub Pop Records, which was one of the or if not the pioneer grunge label at the time in the late 80s, early 90s. And they call themselves post grunge, whatever, but they really do capture the grunge spirit and sound of the 90s, but with an updated sound. And the song I had heard was called Where to Start, and it's loud, it's distorted guitars, shouting vocals, great stuff. They have a female singer and guitar player, Alicia Bagnano, and she seems to be pretty cool. I watched a video on YouTube. I watched this channel, Premier Guitar, where they call Rig Rundown, where they interview people and show their guitars and effects pedals and amps, and that's the guitar nerd in me, you know. I love that shit. And if anybody's really into that, I strongly suggest checking that out, because I mean the Billy Duffy one's good, the AC/DC one's good, Black Crowes did a few, and it really does give you an insight into what they do. And when I watched the one with Alicia Boniano from Bully, I mean she showed her rig, and it's very simple, very effective, very cool. Again, the grunge attitude. And getting back to grunge, when I was a kid, you know, just say 14, 15, somewhere around there, is when grunge was happening. I always looked up to my elders, the older metalheads, you know, for advice on bands and direction, and everybody hated grunge for some reason. And I'll never forget it. Like, if you were a metalhead, you didn't like grunge. But what I saw was, you know, for the first time in my lifetime, at least, top 40 music had guitar-oriented bands. You know, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Candlebox were up in there, Soundgarden. It was just like, wow, you know, they'd be getting played on the radio, and this was popular stuff. It was on MTV, and it was popular, and it was wild that this stuff was. And these guys, like, you know, the grunge guys dressed like I did, you know, ripped jeans, Doc Martens, or Converse All Stars, you know, and it was a real do-it-yourself ethic, and it was a real middle finger to all the glam and hair metal bands that had these big theatrics and stuff. It was more now about music, and the music was really, really rooted in punk and hardcore, which I always loved. And the metalheads, like I said, the older metalheads didn't like punk and hardcore. You couldn't be a punk fan if you were a metalhead. You couldn't be a hardcore fan if you're a metalhead. You had to, you know, and those were the rules. It was strange. But I always loved punk and hardcore. And I always loved metal too. But when grunge happened, it was refreshing to me, man. And all those hair metal bands tried to get on the bandwagon. I mean, everybody did. Motley Crue tried it. Dokken tried it. Extreme tried it. Skid Row tried it. I think Warrant tried it. It's like, you know, you should have stayed in your lane, because you can't play like these guys. You know, in my opinion, the best grunge band, probably Mudhoney. But they didn't get they weren't poppy enough. They didn't get their just desserts with record sales or exposure. But it opened up the door for, you know, for Soundgarden, for Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, and then all the other bands, you know, that it came about. You know, there's a band called Paw from, I think, Kansas. They were really good too. But it was more, not, you know, rewound it back to the guitar riff, the songs, rather than the solos, rather than all the other bullshit. It was back to, you know, what our band's about, what Rec's about, is just the song. You know, it doesn't have to be flashy, it doesn't have to be, you know, a million miles an hour, or this or that. It was just, hey, play what you feel, and grunge was doing that, and I loved it. After grunge, you know, ran its course, you had the alternative music scene, which came about. Bands like Smashing Pumpkins, Oasis, Filter, you know, those guys, Seven Mary 3, fucking, the list goes on. Third Eye Blind, you know, was Third Eye Blind? Probably think of somebody else. But you know, all these bands came out, and then, like, after that, new metal, and then, in my opinion, that was it for guitar-oriented rock. It kind of, I think after new metal was like a garage band thing. I think bands like the Strokes, the Hives, Jet, White Stripes, Black Keys, they came about. But after that, it's over. When you look at music now, there's no more guitar-oriented rock. And if I have to hear one more person tell me about Greta Van Fleet, I'm gonna slap him in the face, because it's not my bag. But anyways, Bully Sugar Egg, it's very good. Sounds like I don't know, sounds like Hole, sounds like Bikini Kill almost, because of just the female vocals. I've always loved female vocals, because it's a great juxtaposition of the female voice over ragged guitar, about, you know, bashing drums. I've always liked it. So anyways, that's the 5 albums that I have. That's probably going to be it for a while. Work is kicking back up, so I'm not going to have much time for anything new. But I put up some videos in the weeks to come of older stuff. Like I said, go through the racks, pull out some shit that, you know, that I feel like talking about. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and look out for our band's recording in the next few weeks, months, whenever we can get around to it. All right, thank you very much for watching.